Today we are interviewing Jerry Rapp. Today is July 23rd, 2021. The content of this interview will focus on his experience at the Caney School. What is your full name?
Jerry Mac Rapp, R-A-P-P.
What year were you born?
10/9/37.
What were your parents' names?
Paul Lester Rapp, Lacey Edith Rapp.
What was your father's occupation?
Farmer. He worked in, when we moved to California, he worked in a orange grove for a guy, and then he went into the Sunkist packing plant, and he worked there, and then he was a fireman and a police officer substitute, just whenever they needed somebody.
What schools did you attend in Wood County?
Caney and Quitman
How long did you attend school at Caney?
through the 8th grade.
And then graduated from Quitman?
Yes.
What was the highest grade taught at Caney?
Do what?
What was the highest grade at Caney? Was it 8th grade?
Eighth grade.
What did you call the lower grade?
What did you call them?
Yeah. Did they call it primary, or was it just
Oh,
first
they
and
just
second grade?
first and second, third, fourth. They just by name. I mean by number.
How old were you when you started school?
I was 6 years old. I started in California, first grade.
And when did you start Caney?
Here in the first grade. They
Okay.
put me in the first grade
Okay.
because in California I didn't learn anything.
How did you get to school?
Huh?
At Caney. How did you get to school?
Oh, on the bus. I walked sometimes. Just we didn't live but about a mile from the school. My dad drove the bus.
Did you walk down a road or a path?
We cut through the woods.
And who went with you?
I had a friend that went with me.
Where was your school located?
It's outside of Quitman there, about 3 miles, and about a half a mile from the Myrtle Springs Baptist Church. While I was going to school there, they put that farm to market road in. It came and went through there, and it went on up to Coke and dirt and oil. A lot of them were oil roads.
So your school had a lunchroom
Oh yes,
and an auditorium.
yes.
What about restrooms?
We had outhouses to start with, but then when they redid the auditorium, we had restrooms, indoor restrooms, and they had, like when they drilled that deep well, we had plenty of water.
Did any of the kids ride a horse to school
No, no,
or a wagon?
no,
How did you get to school if it were raining?
in the bus.
Do you remember when school started during the year?
It was back in the WPA days. They built it out of that old red rock, and in the front of the school, the building, there was a rock. It was this big. How they got that up there, I will never know.
Wow.
I mean, that was way back then.
Just that old iron ore rock?
Yeah, it's old red iron ore rock. And it had a wall about this tall all the way around the school property. It was probably about an acre, pretty close to an acre, 3/4.
Is there anything left on the site?
Oh yeah, the rock wall in the school, but I mean, it's all fallen in, and the well house is still there.
Did you ever have to miss school to work in the field or at home?
Oh no, I had plenty of work to do after I got home though from school. Well, I went and got the cows and milked the cows, fed the chickens, slopped the hogs, gathered up stuff out of the garden. My dad always had about an acre garden, and we raised just about everything we ate.
Do you remember how long the school day was?
I think it was from about 8 o'clock till 4 o'clock, something like that.
Do you remember any of your teachers?
I remember my first grade teacher and her husband. He was a principal, and he taught the 7th and 8th grade, and she taught the 1st and 2nd.
What were their names?
Miss Bruce and R.O. Bruce. I don't know, R.O. I don't know. We just called them Mr. and Miss Bruce.
Did you ever pull any tricks on your teachers?
No, no, sure didn't.
Do you remember what kind of supplies you had to take to school?
They furnished everything. They furnished your ink and your pencils and paper and erasers. They furnished everything. They had that, like I say, they had all money, so they furnished everything. There was some of the kids there that didn't have enough money to buy shoes, and they'd buy them shoes.
Who were some of your friends?
Well, let me see. I had Wiley Wilbanks, Doyle, Jimmy Gilbreth.
We appreciate your drawings of the school floor plan and the way the buildings were. That's really nice to know. Was there a playground?
Oh yeah.
Was there a swing set or seesaw? Or
We had swings, and that's all. Well, that, and we had basketball goals, and we had softball set up a field.
Was the basketball court dirt?
Oh yes, everything was dirt up there. That old red rock, iron ore.
What did you do at recess?
Oh, we played basketball and baseball when in baseball season, and chased the girls around and walked on the wall.
Were there any special programs or parties at Christmas?
Yeah, we always had Christmas parties, and we had Easter parties. We had 2 plays every year. We had a Christmas play and a Thanksgiving play every year, and just about all the kids were in it some way, whether they were just singing or whatever. They may have speaking parts, or they may have singing, or just what, but everybody had a part.
Was there anything at Armistice Day or any other patriotic holidays?
It seemed like we used to have something on the 4th of July, but I can't remember exactly what it was.
Was there something at the school to mark the end of the year?
Yeah. You remember Sam White?
Right.
He had a stew. He built. He made 2 big old these big wash pots full of stew. One of them would be chicken, and one of them would be beef. And everybody everybody around was invited. Everybody. And they'd have stew and would play games and just have a good time. Because after that, it was nothing but work.
Was there a PTA for parents and teachers?
I don't remember if there was. My dad was on the school board, and he drove the bus.
Did your school have sports teams?
Oh yeah, we had basketball teams and softball teams.
Were they co-ed?
No, the girls didn't play much on our teams.
So softball was the boys?
Yeah, and so was the basketball. And I think we played 4 different schools. I can't remember all of them. We had Coke, I know, and Pleasant Grove, I believe. I can't remember who they were. There was four different schools.
Cartwright, maybe?
It probably was, yeah. And on basketball, they used to have little basketball tournaments, and we would go to Quitman to play in their gym. That was a big deal. And every year, everybody got to go to the fair on the bus. And they would have a big old tub in front of up there in front of the school, bus, and it was full of drinks, iced down, and everybody had a meat sandwich and a peanut butter sandwich and a bag of chips for lunch. Everybody come back to the bus for lunch.
Like the fair in Dallas?
Dallas
State
Fair. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a big deal back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah, we went every year.
How was your school heated?
Big old pot-bellied stove about this big around. Oh, I've got a funny story.
Well, we want to hear it.
We had one guy that he was into everything all the time. He was a good friend of mine, Wally Wilbanks. And one winter, they made everybody go outside for something. I don't know what it was now anyway. He stayed in, and that old stove was just red in nearly, and he peed on that stove. And you talk about stinking, oh my God, it stunk. And he got his little behind tore up. I never will forget that.
And how was your school cooled?
How was it cooled?
Right.
With the wind.
Raising the windows?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the rules you had at school?
You don't lie, and you don't steal.
If you got hurt at school, who took care of you?
I guess it was the teachers. And if it was really bad, I guess I don't know. I can't ever remember anybody getting hurt bad.
What was discipline like?
Well, it was very strict. In the first grade, my first grade teacher bend his hand back with a paddle and bust your hand. And I tell you what, that hurts. And you don't be rowdy in her class. You just didn't do it.
Did you have a favorite subject?
Recess.
And the school provided lunch for everybody.
Right.
Did you have to pay?
No. No, we had government surplus. I don't know. A truck would pull up at the back of the building there, and they would unload cases of stuff, canned stuff, fruit. We had a piece of fruit just about every day at recess, twice a day. Apples, bananas, oranges, you know. It was really good.
Were there any awards given by your teachers at the end of the year?
I'm sure there was. I never got any.
Did they use the school for other things, like after school hours?
Oh yeah. They had a 16 millimeter projector, and every Friday night they'd have a full-length movie with a cartoon.
Did you go?
Oh gosh, yeah, that auditorium would be full. Yes.
Is that the first place you remember seeing a movie?
Yeah, I guess it was.
Do you remember what your daily routine was like at school?
Well, you just went to class. You had 2 recesses, one in the morning and one in the afternoon. You had lunch. And
how long was lunch? Did you have a recess at lunch?
Yeah, it was 30 minutes. 30 minutes for lunch, and about 15 minutes for each recess. And then back to class.
So when you finished at Caney, did they have a little graduation for the
eighth
graders?
Yeah.
And then you went into Quitman?
Right.
How did you get to the Quitman school?
Bus.
What year did you graduate from Quitman?
I don't know.
Okay.
I had to go an extra half a year. I didn't get to graduate with the class I went in with because my science teacher, I liked a half a credit being able to graduate. So I had to take a half a credit of science over, and I made A plus on everything. But he didn't like me, and I didn't like him, and we knew it, and he knew it, and so he had power and I didn't.
So did you just do that one class?
Yeah, that's all. And the rest of the time I came home and worked.
What would you like for people to remember about the Caney School?
I don't know. It was just a good time. I mean, everybody worked together. Everybody was poor. There was a few of us that had a little oil money, and then some of them had a lot of oil money. But for the most part, we were just poor people. We raised everything we ate just about. We slaughtered hogs, we slaughtered cattle, chickens, and we always had chickens and hogs. And we milked our own cows. It was. I tell you, I would like to see it go back to that. I mean, it was a good time. It was more relaxed.
What do you think were some of the important values from that time?
I think the work ethics that I got out of it. I tell you, it's a lot of young people nowadays just don't seem like they have a good work ethic. They don't. I don't know. I don't know.
Is there anything you would like to add or want us to know about the Caney School or your experience there?
Not that I can think of right now. We had a great wood shop there. We had table saws, we had band saws, we had lathes, we had drill presses, orbital sanders, all kinds of
Did you take
hand
a
tools.
shop class?
Oh yeah. I built a table for a little. Anyway, just a table that goes in the living room, and it was really nice.
Do you still have it?
No, it burned up in the house. Our house burned after my mom died. My dad was in the hospital, and he was letting a guy live there to kind of watch the place, and he watched it all right. He burned it down.